Hi, friends. Thank you for joining us today for our real life talks. I'm Dr. Svetlana Papazov, lead pastor of Real Life Church. We're an online church community that gathers around Zoom screens. We are micro church communities across this nation, and the people around the globe even now are beginning to be part of this real life church community. So we just want to extend an invitation. Hey, if you're out there doing faith by yourself and you're not really connected to any church body, we would love to have you join us. Our desire is really to equip believers to activate their faith in the marketplace, to dream, create, and contribute so we can all co-create beautiful futures with God, the ones that He promises in Jeremiah that we read, and we quote the scriptures so many times that God has good futures for us. But those futures are for us to co-create with Him. And today I'm talking with Mike Henry, president of Follower of One, about calling and vocation. Because Mike, so many people have really doubts about the kingdom value of their work. What they do, they're questioning if it's as valuable as what maybe a pastor does in the church. Since they're not a pastor, they're not on any pastoral church leadership team, they don't lead maybe a nonprofit, a faith nonprofit, they're not sure if their faith have any value. Their vocation has a kingdom value other than writing maybe a check, a tithe check and offerings. And so many Christians that are faithful followers of Jesus are questioning. And they kind of like it, in that tug of war, is my work outside of church walls important? Does my work matter to God? And
Yes.
So today I'm so excited I'm going to be talking to you because I know you've struggled with that question. And you actually, God has worked so deeply in your spirit that you're now helping others process well, that whole struggle. If people are not sure about their vocation, some of them might be really hating their jobs and in that strange place, not knowing what to do if their work matters to God. We're just going to be unpacking these questions. Friends, you might be really wanting to ask these questions. They're burning in your soul. Here is the place. Drop us a note in the comment, and we'll be really happy to engage you and begin to answer some of your questions. So, Michael, when did you first realize that your work matters to God and you could be a minister at work?
Well, it was a few years after I became a Christian. So I became a Christian because I was frustrated at work and I was trying to make my life more enjoyable. I was miserable. We were having trouble at home because I was not a believer and my wife was. And I was having trouble at work because I didn't like my job. And I felt like I had to make something change, and I couldn't change my job very well. So I decided to go check out church at my wife's request because if it didn't work for me, I could tell her no. But during the course of a few months of investigating church, that's when I found Jesus and this eternal purpose. And then I realized, well, okay, there's this great eternal purpose future out there for me, but tomorrow I have to go back to this job I really don't like and work with these people that are not like me and I don't feel comfortable working around. It was a bad fit. And so I started, my first prayers were all asking God, would you please get me out of here? Would you give me a new job? I wanted to go to work someplace where they're nice like all those Christian people that I go to church with. And and for many years, I struggled. I felt like the only thing the church could help me do was come back out to the church and do something there in the suburbs where I lived instead of helping me in my workplace. And I felt like God was not putting me into full time ministry. He was making me stay a part timer. And I kept asking him, am I supposed to be a part time minister? Is that the deal? Am I supposed to be on the second string? But over the years, I realized that God has a job for us too. I believe He wasn't telling me, uh, to go into ministry. He was telling me I was already in ministry and I need to start acting like a minister in my workplace.
Oh, I just so love that. I know so many have struggled with that question. God, I'm like, when I gather with like-minded people that believe in you, there is a different atmosphere. We sing worship songs to you. We listen to an inspirational message from the pulpit in front of the crowd, and we feel like on cloud nine. And then we walk outside of these church walls. We enter Monday, and it looks like there is no bridge between Sunday and Monday. This
Exactly.
secular sacred divide is so real, and we say it's real in the culture outside. Literally, it's so real in our hearts. That's why
Yes.
the sacred secular divide exists, because we have not learned to live like these holistic, integrated lives. And I'm so glad to hear you describe this struggle, because you became a believer, and you liked your community, and in your community you experience love and acceptance, and it's a different atmosphere there, and then you walk outside and you go to work. On Monday things are not as rosy as they seem on Sunday, right?
That's
The
right.
emotions run, like the people that you encounter are not quite as kind, as nice. And then you begin to struggle. And I love how you said, hey God, do you mean for me, like, to be, am I a part-time minister? See, this comes from our disintegrated, like,
Yes.
bifurcated life that we try to live, and this is not what God calls us to do.
Yes.
He's calling us for a whole life discipleship that we
Yes.
carry wherever we are. It is within us, so the kingdom
Yes.
is within us, and then we practice it, and then wherever we walk as believers, as followers of God, He's right there in the midst of the church building, in the midst of the marketplace, work building, wherever you are. So, uh, Mike, what happens, like, after this struggle, and you're like, God, do I need to quit my job maybe and go to a
Yeah.
full-time paid vocational ministry? You know,
Yeah.
what what did you begin to understand? What does being a minister at work look like for you? How did you grasp all of that? How did your thoughts transform and you begin to process a different reality?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I had to do is redefine the word ministry.
Mm.
So, and I'll give you that kind of end story back. The word Greek word most often translated minister is also translated servant, right? It's I can't pronounce the Greek
Yep.
necessarily, but
Diaconia.
they're the
Yeah.
same word. Yeah.
Yep.
And when Jesus said that the Son of Man did not come to serve, to come to be served, but to serve,
Mhm.
in Mark 10:45, he was using the word that is often translated minister. The Son of Man did not come to be ministered to, but to minister. And when I started realizing that, the idea that God gave me about ministry and my working definition is helping everyone that I meet move one notch closer to Jesus. We
Oh,
can all
wow.
gain closer to Jesus. And if I work with a Christian person, I can help them move closer to Jesus. If I work with somebody who doesn't know Jesus, well, step one in moving closer is getting to know him a little better. And so I don't have to choose who I work with every day. When I am brought a customer or something happens in my work, or just the people that are working in the same company that I work for, my job now is to live my life in such a way that I help those people move one notch closer to Jesus.
So,
And we
so
came
you
up,
mean, like, yeah, like you mean, like, the things that you're doing. For example, if you're a lawyer and you have a couple that is fighting, and it's just like their lives are in shambles, and they're trying to figure out how to proceed. So you're talking about, like, these lawyer maybe bringing the shalom of Jesus in that situation, bringing it with his
yes,
wisdom, right? Yeah,
yes.
that,
Well,
very practical things, really.
yeah, in any relationship we have, I worked in a number of companies where, once again, there were people that I liked that I work with, and there were people that we didn't get along that well. And so I have this struggle where I have to, I realize now that I need to pray for and appreciate these people, whether I like them or not. They're the people that God's put around me because I took that job there. And so I want to live my life as a minister for every one of those. That means praying for bosses. I prayed for people who fired me, and those kinds of things. I pray. In fact, what we came up with 5 things that we believe we can all do every day in any job that help us be more intentional about our faith every day.
Tell us more about that. Really, you now are leading a missional expression in the marketplace. Tell us a little bit about that, and what are the 5 things that every believer can actually practice in them as a marketplace minister in their workplace?
Okay. Yeah. So the 5 are, the first one is pray. And we talk about 3 types of prayers. But the first one of those is just punching in. It's just doing what Isaiah did. And he said, "Here I am." When God said, "Who will go for us?" Isaiah said, "Here I am. I'm on the clock. Put me in, coach." The second thing that we do is we appreciate people. And that's kind of my business word for love. It's doing things to make other people successful and to help them flourish. The third thing is we have to know what we believe. Many of us, I think, we inherit our faith from our pastors, but we can't speak for ourselves when we explain why we do something that's out of the ordinary because we follow Jesus. And so we encourage people to practice a 1 or 2 sentence answer for when someone asks, "Why are you doing this?"
Hmm.
And that's because our fourth daily activity is to serve others. We have to get outside of our job description. We have to do something that's unexpected. So if we stay late, or if we come in early to help a coworker, or if we're writing thank you notes and giving away gift cards or bringing donuts for the whole office, those types of things, after a while, people ask, "Why are you doing this?" And that's when we do the fifth activity, and that is what I call speaking for ourselves. We we restate what we taught ourselves in step 3, and we do it using I and me statements. We talk about why our relationship with Jesus has changed our life. We're not telling anyone else how to live. We're just introducing this other way of life to them so that they can process that.
Oh, so good, because really culture transform by us modeling a different way of making solutions, offering solutions to the problems. This is, by the way, how culture shapes. It usually
Yeah.
shapes around problem solving. People see a particular way of dealing with an issue in society, and often we think that just by maybe picketing, yelling at people, lecturing them,
Oh, that's
that would
exactly
change
right.
their minds. No, it doesn't. What changes people's minds is to see that when there is an issue, when there is a problem, we model a different way to solve that problem, not like the
Yes,
the general culture does. We model the
that's right.
different way of solving the problem. So it is awesome that you gave us very practical applications of how do we go in our workplace, and how do we reach the culture, how do we model a different way of living, so we can actually lead them in the expression of faith at
Yes.
work, so they can ask a question. I see you kind of different, you're not really jumping, you're not using coarse language, you're not you're not getting mad to the point where you just like, everything blows out around you. People are not afraid, to step into your office. Tell us about it. You experience the same stressors as all of us, but somehow you deal with them differently. And then people are more open as we model a different way to solve everyday issues, everyday problems that people have, right?
Yes. Yeah. As a matter of fact, what we've learned is when we start praying for our coworkers, God changes us, and we start doing
Love
things
that.
that build trust and bless them. And
Yes.
so, and they won't consider another way of living or anything unless they trust us. And so that praying for people, serving them and appreciating them is a way to kind of establish this trust. Being the kind of person they understand that we're for them, that we help them get ahead and we're trying to help them flourish. We have nothing to lose. We get Jesus now and when we die. But the world around us doesn't necessarily live that way or have that. And so when we live that way, it makes a difference.
Absolutely. We are talking about, workplaces and our behavior in the workplace. And you're saying, I mean, I love the fact that you stress that when we begin to pray for someone else, usually God begins to change us first before we can see the
Yes.
change in the other person. So that's all great. But some of our listeners might be those that are watching us might be thinking, oh, great. You actually, from what you're talking about, it sounds like you like your job, like you like going to work, you like your work environment. What would you say to people that might be hating their jobs? They're in a place that just it's not pleasant. They don't like the environment. They don't like the people. Have you ever been in a situation like that? How did you deal with it?
Yeah, most of my jobs were like that. In fact, that's why I'm having so much fun with Follower of One right now, is it's kind of what I always believed I was made to do. But for all those jobs that I had, and I counted up, I worked for 31 different people at 16 different companies in my career.
Oh, wow.
And some of those people became good friends, and some of those people I don't really speak to a whole lot. But I learned how to pray for people I didn't like, for bosses that didn't treat me well, or for things that didn't go well. I mean, it was so many different bosses and so many different people. I know that in some degree I'm the problem, right? It's not them, because everybody can't be a bad boss. But my point is, when we accept God's perspective and we start asking God even to show us how to pray for people. If we have a boss that's always, in our grill messing with us or micromanaging us, or if we're in a work situation and we really don't like the kind of work that we're doing, praying to God about that, and then also praying for the people around us and realizing that every day is an opportunity for us to minister to those people. It's like every day going to work is like going on a mission trip. We go on a mission trip to our workplace and we minister to those people. And over time, God will direct us. He might direct you to a new job. He might direct you to stay in the job you have. But you can constantly be praying for these people and watch how God changes your heart. You will find more joy at work knowing that you're the person God assigned there today.
Wow.
You know,
What
it
a
just,
thought. You're the person that God assigned there today. How about if we just get up every morning and we pray that the Holy Spirit guides our steps, and as He guides them into our work environments, we live with that awareness that we are assigned to this place to be God's missionaries, God's gospel carriers, that advances His kingdom with justice, mercy, grace, favor, blessing. God blesses us so we actually be conduit of His blessing to others. It is all about having a vertical relationship with God and having a horizontal one that we can practice
Mhm.
with others. This is the cross. But the thing is that the cross, as much as it represents good news, it represents mercy, grace, gospel, beauty. It also represents suffering. It
That's
doesn't
right.
mean that we're going to go to work environments that we're just always going to love and it's going to be all rosy and it's go,
Mhm.
we would just get up and want to do the work. No, sometimes actually we need to have the grit to do the grace of the
Yes.
gospel work. And so
Yeah.
the gospel really is the good news of Jesus Christ, because He came to suffer in order for you
Yes.
and I really to have access, to have that bridge of grace and mercy to God. And He has sent us as His hands, as His feet. Jesus is the head.
That's
We,
right.
His church, the body, that goes into all places in the marketplace, being marketplace ministers. Because
That's
the
right.
pastor behind the pulpit cannot reach the place that our friends that are watching us right now can reach behind their desk,
Yes.
behind their work, in their work environment, in their business environment, behind the cash register, whatever, the barista, the engineer, the
Yes.
lawyer, the custodian. It doesn't matter, the vehicle through which we bless our neighbor. You know,
Yes.
the work that we do is just an expression of the blessing that flows through us because of our personality, gifts, skills that God has just fashioned us in His image, to
Yeah.
represent Him wherever we go. Isn't it
Yeah.
so?
Yes, and well, and I know I'm going to get you started too, because the work that we do is not like something to keep us busy until then. Even the work that we do is part of God's blessing to the world, right? So even the
Absolutely.
job of being a lawyer or the job of being a computer programmer or a truck driver, those are part of the way that God blesses the world. That's part of
Yes.
his common grace. And so we're all
Yes.
part of God's strategy.
Yes, absolutely. We are part of God's strategy, called and assigned to our post every day at work in the marketplace so we can be a blessing as He blesses us. Mike, it has been just a wonderful time to spend in that conversation with you. Friends, I really want to drop us a comment, tell us what you think about what you heard, but especially like tell us how you practice your faith at work. What do you do? How you see yourself assigned by God as an agent of grace and mercy in your workplace that really brings the blessing from heaven to earth through the skills, the experience, the wisdom that you bring through the Holy Spirit who resides in you. Just drop us a comment. We would love to hear from you. Mike, thank you so much for being here with us. We are blessed by this discussion with you. Thank you for giving us the insights of how we can be marketplace ministers, regardless of the type of work we do, and regardless of how much we love or don't love the job we do, because we can always be a blessing to others as God
That's the
blesses
truth.
us.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye, friends.